All right, we're in the countdown, 9 o'clock. Y'all going to start right on time? Y'all good with that?
Yes, sir.
All right, 1 minute. Let me get the recorder going here. Y'all are going to like this. You're going to like the fact that I'm recording, because you're going to be overwhelmed. I'm going to warn you right now. Okay? You're going to be like, oh my goodness, another person telling me stuff I can't keep up with.
We're not going to get an invoice, are we?
So, can I do that? Probably that was
Expectation.
Okay. I'm using somebody else's computer, and the mouse is a little bit different, but I think it's going to work. You love countdowns. Okay, Houston, we are recording. Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Frank Gray. I'm with RE/MAX, the Woodlands and Spring, and RE/MAX Associates Northeast in Kingwood and Atascocita, all in the beautiful Houston metro area. And it's going to be my great pleasure, over the little bit of time that we have together, to share with you some proven and very exciting strategies for becoming the preferred agent in your preferred market area. And just to put some substance underneath that, when I say preferred agent, I would consider that to be a minimum of 20% personal market share in your geographic farm area. So that out of every 5 transactions happening in your farm area, you're participating in at least one of those on one of the sides of the transaction. So a dominant personal market share position in your preferred farm area. And as I kind of hinted a moment ago, there are some technology aspects to this strategy. If you have a laptop computer and would like to follow along and actually implement some of the strategies that I'm going to share with you, you can do that in class and follow along. And I'll be glad to give you passwords and such if you need that to log on to the Omni Internet, because I'm going to go slow enough that you can actually do what I'm going to teach you to do in class, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and dive into a couple preliminaries before we actually get into the specific techniques and strategies. At any time that I say something that doesn't make sense, feel free to jump up and down, wave your hand, interrupt. I love the dialogue, the interaction, because I want to make sure that you're getting this, because it's really, really cool stuff. So feel free, okay? I'd love to have that kind of interaction. All right, so before we get started, just a few preliminaries about geographic farming specifically. It requires a long-term commitment, and by that I mean you can't send out a postcard and say, oh my goodness, I didn't get a listing out of that, okay? Or send out 2 or 3 and nobody called me and quit. I counsel my agents, don't even think about starting a geographic farm unless you are ready to pre-fund it for a minimum of a 12-month period, okay? So have the money in the bank. It requires a little bit of money, not much. 2 of my values are frugality and simplicity, and you're going to see that come out very strongly today, but there is some cost involved. So you don't want to get started and then stop because you run out of funding. See it through. A minimum of 12 months, but you're really going to hit your stride in the 2nd and 3rd year. You're not going to hit 20% personal market share in the 1st year. Okay, disclaimer. But year 2, year 3, beyond, consistency trumps all. I was counseling an agent on this yesterday who was trying to identify a farm area in the Woodlands, and if you're familiar with that market, it's saturated with really quality agents. And she says, I don't see an opening, I don't know where I can go. And I said, you pick where you want to go, because consistency will win the day. You just get in there and hang in there and stay in there, and you will outlast them. I guarantee you, because most agents don't have staying power. Even if they get results from a particular strategy, they get distracted by something else or overwhelmed with the business generated, and they stop being proactive lead generators. So again, consistency is the key. Farming requires money. I just said that, but not much, not a lot. In fact, I think you're going to be shocked at how little it will cost you to begin dominating a geographic area with direct mail. Okay, some real exciting stuff. Third, farming is more than about real estate. I'm not going to go deep on that this morning just because of our time constraints. But what you want to do with a geographic farm is position yourself as the go-to person for any information or events or happenings that impact your geographic farm area. So if there's a zoning change, you want the homeowners in that area to think, who am I? I'm going to call Sandy. You know, that person who sends me the postcards all the time, because Sandy knows everything, okay? If there's a law change, if there's a garbage pickup problem, if there's a community cleanup project, you want them to think of your name first because you are the center of all that's happening in that neighborhood. That's what I mean. It's more than just about real estate. And then finally, geographic farming is just one of many types of farming. You could do demographic farming, for example, and just reach out to for example, renters. You can reach out to people who have lived in their home between 3 and 5 years, and whose statistics show us are highly likely to move, more so than just the average homeowner. You can target single parents. You can target boat owners. All of that information is available to you. And there are tools, I know in our market, the title companies have some great tools to help you really zero in on demographic targets. And I think that can be highly efficient and effective. However, that's not what I'm teaching today. I'm teaching how to become the preferred agent in a preferred geographic area, a neighborhood that you want to dominate. You want to drive down the street and see your name on yard signs more than any other agent in that area. Okay? All right, so here's the basic strategy before we get started, because I just don't want to get down into the weeds without having some context for where this fits in. So what we coach in our company is, first of all, you have to define your life aspirations. What do you really want for yourself and for your family? Then drill that down to a financial requirement. What's it going to cost to live the life that you want to live? Because you can't just set a goal. I want to make an extra $100,000 this year. I want to make Chairman's Club. If it's just a number that's not attached to something that you're passionate about, then when the going gets difficult or expensive or frustrating, or you face rejection, or you think you own that neighborhood and some other doggone agent from a no-name company comes in and gets a couple listings, you'll be tempted to give up. So you have to link all numeric and financial goals to life aspirations and passions. Once you do that, identify your aspirations, their financial requirements, then you drill that down based upon your average sale price and your average commission rate to a specific transaction benchmark, i.e., how many transactions do I have to close this year to fund my aspirations? Okay, based upon my average sale price and average commission rate. Once you have that number, you have to decide how many of those in your business planning are going to come from your geographic farm. So say, for example, that your transaction benchmark for the year is 50. I'm going to close 50 deals this year. Then you have to say, how many are from my buyer side, how many from my seller side? And just to keep the math simple, let's just say it's even, 25 and 25. Then you have to account for every one of those transactions. Let's take the listing side. I'm going to list and sell 25 homes this year. Okay, where are those 25 going to come from? And you start working through your prospecting and marketing sources to account for all 25 of those. And of course, those of y'all who have been in the business for a while, you're going to get some from your sphere of influence, right? You're going to convert some of those street leads. That's going to account for some of them. But then you have to decide, how many am I going to demand from my geographic farm? And let's just say, in this example, out of our 25 listings this year, we're going to get 5 of them from our geographic farm. That's helpful information because now we know how big our farm needs to be. I'm going to suggest that you multiply your number of transactions from your farm by 100 to determine how many homes you need to farm. So in our example, it would be 500 homes, right? If we're demanding 5 transactions, that would be 500 homes. And here's just a quick example of how that math might work. 500 homes times a 5% turnover rate. Okay, that means that 25 total transactions or 50 sides will be done in that farm area this year. Times a 20% personal market share, 10 transaction sides. Okay, that's just an example. You need to plug in the turnover rate in your particular neighborhood, and you can do that probably very simply in your MLS. You determine how many homes are there and then look back over the last 12 months and how many sales were there in that neighborhood, and that will give you a sense of the turnover rate. Okay? So we're going to do this intentionally. We're not just going to employ a wish, wait, and hope strategy and start sending out some postcards and hope something happens, right? We want to be very intentional about this and ensure that our strategy supports our plan, our business plan. All right. So how do you choose it? Once you know how many homes that you want to target, I'm going to suggest that you find a neighborhood that's convenient to your home or office. Because again, it's not just about mailing postcards. You're going to be the center of activity in that neighborhood. You're physically going to be in that neighborhood. And so you don't want to be driving across town, fighting traffic, going somewhere where you don't have a natural sphere of influence. It's not on your natural driving path. You want it to be there. So convenient to home or office, not currently dominated by another agent. And I would describe domination as 20% personal market share. By the way, there are very few neighborhoods in the state of Texas where a single agent has 20% market share. So most of them are available, okay? By the way, if you want to take on one of those gorillas, you can do it and you can win if you are consistent and persistent. But the other thing you have to know is it's going to be a lot more expensive and it's going to take a lot more time. So my encouragement to you would be, if there is an agent with 20% plus market share, try to find somewhere else to go, okay? You'll get there quicker and less expensively. Average sale price within your preferred range. Again, we calculated how many homes we need to transact based upon average sale price and average commission rate. So make sure that if your business plan calls for an average sale price of $200,000, that's what this neighborhood delivers. Okay, so just again, make sure that there is alignment between your strategy and your plan, and then finally a reasonable turnover rate. And a reasonable turnover rate varies by market. I know some of you are in smaller towns and probably very settled communities. Others are in very heavy relo markets, but it's activity which generates opportunity. So look for neighborhoods that have that regular turnover of buyers and sellers. Okay? Basic stuff, right? You all knew all that. All right, so let's get into it. I want to share with you 2 seller strategies and 2 buyer strategies that will enable you to become the preferred agent in your preferred market area. The 2 seller strategies are as follows. First of all, a direct mail program, and you knew that was coming, didn't you? I mean, when we talk about geographic farming, most people think it begins and ends with mailing recipe cards. And I want to say, yes, that can be part of it, but it has to go well beyond that. And just ordering your postcards from Sensations and having them mail them out for you is extremely expensive. Okay? And if you're well funded and you really don't care about the bottom line, go for it. I mean, it's plug and play, off the shelf, ready to go. But I am going to say there is a much more frugal way to do direct mail. And I'm going to share that with you very specifically. And then the second seller strategy to obtain listings in your preferred market area is an open house neighborhood saturation strategy. Now some of you are thinking, well, Frank, you got that backwards, didn't you? Open houses are designed to generate what type of client? Buyers, right, okay? I'm going to say any buyers that you generate from this open house strategy are icing on the cake. Okay, they're the bonus. But we're going to employ an open house saturation strategy that is designed to generate listings for you. Okay, so, all right, here we go. USPS Every Door Direct. How many of y'all have utilized this program already? Okay, excelente. How many of you have never heard of it before? Okay, so about half and half. Let me give you quick details, and then I'm actually going to show you how it works. We're going to do several live demos today, presuming our technology cooperates. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to USPS.com, United States Postal Service. We're going to select the routes that provide the best coverage in your target market area. Okay, remember you identified a neighborhood that's close to where you live or work. It's on your normal life path. It's within your preferred price range. It has enough homes to meet your financial requirements, or in our example, 500 homes, but yours might be 200 or it might be 3,000. Establish your USPS account. Create your postcards or mailers using size guidelines. And then I put in there a recommended size of 4 1/4 by 11, only because you can get an 8 1/2 by 11 sheet of cardstock, run it through the copy machine, cut it in half. Again, extremely frugal. Before we get into it, let me share something with you. I put on every one of your chairs a sample postcard. And this is very important because USPS Every Door Direct guidelines do not allow you to use standard size postcards. That would include standard and jumbo, what we typically think of. They have very odd size requirements. 4 1/4 by 11 actually fits the bill. A long, skinny postcard. This one also fits the bill, this size right here. And so I'm just giving this to you as an example of an acceptable size. All right, cross your fingers, hold your breath. We are going to try to do our first technology demo and see if this works. Because I want to show you exactly how to use this tool to help you find a geographic farming area. All right. Now, what website did I say we would go to? USPS.com. Okay. Not .gov, right? .com. That's what you said, sure enough. All right. Go to the search window in the upper right-hand corner and just type in Every Door Direct. How simple is that? You're going to get your search results. Wait for it. Wait for it. It's coming. There it is. We're just going to select this very first search result. By the way, you do not need to take extensive notes. You can if that helps you to learn in the moment, but I'm recording everything that you see on your screen and will provide you a screenshot video. So all you're going to do is hear my voice and you'll see what's on my computer screen and what's on the screen in front of you. Okay? So it'll all be there for you. All right, so we're going to use the tool now. That's what it says there. And this is the tool that helps us identify the postal routes that serve our preferred market area. Okay, so somebody tell me a zip code that you would consider farming.
76110.
Okay. 76110, is that what I heard? All right, so let's just see what's available there. All right, here we go. By the way, what part of the state is this?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, Texas. Love it. Went to school in Fort Worth. In a previous life. A long time ago. Yeah, very good. Okay, so what we're going to do here is move the cursor over this map. This is a Google map search. And every time we move it, we're going to see a different postal route light up. That's what the purple is all about. And when that lights up, we can see exactly the streets that it covers. And so what we're trying to determine is, does this postal route match up well with my target farm area? Okay? Now we could use bulk mail, right? That's what a lot of people use for geographic direct mail farming. The problem is bulk mail is typically about 28 cents to mail. using the Every Door Direct program, because of the efficiencies to the Postal Service, where they just deliver to every door on a route, it's only 16 cents.
Wow.
Okay? Frugal. We love frugal, don't we? Yes.
How do we get the postcards?
Thank you. You can print them on your own copier, right? And by the way, that the example I've given you is a double-sided color, slick and glossy, right? These are pretty expensive, aren't they? You know what this one cost me? Nada. It's free because I partnered with a vendor, okay? And you'll see it on here, SWBC Mortgage, okay? They're down in the Houston area. They give me the postcards for free. I pay for the postage. Now let me tell you what that means. I have a personal farm area of 500 homes. You know what it costs me to mail to 500 homes every month? About $74.16. How's that? Is that sustainable for your marketing budget?
And these two sizes are the sizes that we can use. This one that you gave us, an 11 by 4.
No, there's a whole range of sizes. On USPS.com, there's an Every Door Direct guide that you can download, and it gives you all the required sizes. You basically have to meet a minimum vertical and horizontal dimension.
Okay, so your friend or your partner, whatever, makes the postcards, gives them to you.
Yeah.
And you go take them to the post office.
Yes.
I thought maybe it was done online. You click the button and they sent them out. You
Nope,
have to take
nope.
it out like you do a package to grandma.
You're asking great questions. That's exactly right. You'll notice on here, there is no personal address label. This isn't to Joe and Susie Smith, okay? It says on here, local postal customer.
I like it.
Yep, because it's going to go to every home on that route, so it doesn't need to be personalized. Again, that's an efficiency for the post office and for us, right? We're not printing and sticking labels, or we're not having to print custom cards for every single address.
That indicia has to be on there.
It does, and you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, they're very specific. Again, you'll want to download the guide. Don't just come to my class and then go print off a bunch of postcards, okay? That might be a little wasteful. Print off the guide and make sure you're following it. I'm just giving you a sample of what it will look like, okay? But there are other samples that would be acceptable to the Postal Service, okay? So you can do this on your own office copy machine very inexpensively, or partner with a vendor if you want to get, double-sided color slick for free. Title company, mortgage company, inspection company, find somebody in your market. Now once you hover over an area and you see those purple routes light up, you'll see information on the route on the pop-up window. So for example, this one tells us it's Route 5. There are 490 residences, that's a nice number, 7 businesses, a total of 497, route cost $86.98. So how's that for budgeting? Tells you exactly there what it's going to cost you to mail to every home. And then actually when you drill into it, you can eliminate the businesses and just mail to the residences. Now, so what you're going to do to answer your question, this is going a little bit beyond what I wanted to, but I just want to get you to get the big picture of this. Once you identify your route, you print the exact number of postcards that you need. In this case, it would be 490. Then you get a shoebox or something and put all the postcards in there, and you separate them in groups of 50 or 100, whatever's most appropriate. Okay? Either one is acceptable to the Postal Service. And then you'll print from USPS.com a little facing slip. This is all in the instruction manual. Okay, so just download the manual, it's all in there. And you just separate each group of 50 or 100 with a facing slip, and all you put on there is the postal route, how many pieces are in there, and is this bundle 1 of 4 or 2 of 6 or whatever. Very simple. Then you physically carry that down to the post office. You tell them you have an Every Door Direct mailing. You will see a look of panic come over the face of the postal worker. Seriously, every time. I've heard about that, but they've never done one before, okay? So they're going to call Susie out of the back room, okay? Somebody's going to come up who knows what to do, and they'll take that and mail it for you. And they will mail it, if it's before the mail goes out, they'll mail it the same day, delivered same day. Or if it's after the delivery, it'll be out the next day. You take it to the post office that serves that postal route. Okay?
Frank, do you have a preferred day of the week you like these to go out?
I haven't I haven't been doing it long enough to know that, so I don't really have an informed answer to that question. Yes?
Yeah, my post office says they have a 3-day window to actually get it out.
Yes.
On the route, so you might want to plan on that if you want to.
Yeah.
Get it on Friday, maybe get it out by Tuesday or Wednesday or something.
Yeah, talk to your local post office. Mine, every time, it's same day when I take it in. If I go in the morning, it'll be out that day. Okay? Any other questions on this? Is that pretty cool?
That is awesome.
All right, that's what I like. That's what I want to hear. Awesome.
If you pay online, then you don't have to wait as long as the post office too. So.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet, but yes, you could do that. You're going to establish a little account, but again, the instructions are all here and it's super simple, okay? I figured it out the first time with no coaching, no instruction, so I guarantee you can do it, all right? Really simple. Okay, so that's Every Door Direct. And that's one of your seller strategies, right? Because now that this is so inexpensive, you can afford to be consistent with it. And if you're already consistent, maybe you can afford to expand your geographic range and pull in another couple hundred homes, okay? So I love it for that reason. And it's one reason I'm a big fan of geographic farming as opposed to some of the other options. Okay, there we go. There's number one. I'm going to suggest that when you do this, you begin with an 8 and 8 campaign. When you start mailing your postcards, again, because it's so inexpensive, mail every single week for 8 weeks. That seems like a little bit of overkill, doesn't it? Okay, but for 500 homes, that's going to cost you about $400. And let me tell you why we suggest this. Y'all heard of Hobbs Herder? They did a little experiment several years ago out in California. They made up a fictitious agent. You know, nice good-looking professional person with a little fictitious bio, and they began mailing postcards into a geographic area for 8 weeks. Before they started, they surveyed the area, the homeowners, and they said, if you were to list your home today, who would be your preferred agent? And the names were all across the board, okay? Nobody dominating. They mailed in once a week for 8 weeks into this neighborhood for the fictitious agent, resurveyed the homeowners, and guess what? The fictitious agent was the #1 agent of choice in that neighborhood. And the takeaway from that is, you can buy a #1 mental market share position in 8 weeks. Okay? Brand new to the area, no local sphere of influence. You go in with a nice professional card, 8 and 8, and guess what? Suddenly, just like at Cheers, everybody knows your name. Pretty slick, huh? And then you just begin to reinforce that. Mail out a monthly postcard. I like cheap, and so I'm using the co-op cards with a vendor. Maybe once a quarter, every 3 months, every 4 months, send out a market update card. And that's just as simple as, over the last quarter, how many homes have gone on the market in this neighborhood, how many have sold, what's the average sale price, just some basic market information to position yourself as somebody who knows what's going on. And then if you want to get fancy with it, you don't have to, but if you're trying to differentiate, you can highlight local events, teams, or people, new neighbors, meet your new neighbor, meet the new fire chief. Hey, everybody show up at the pep rally for the high school football team. Again, these type of messages are just positioning you as the person in the community who's the center of everything that's going on. A real estate expert? Yes, but so much more than that. So just think through that and what's going to be helpful in building your image in that neighborhood, and then you can plan accordingly. Okay. Here's a quick example of what another one looks like. You can see the odd shape, longer on the vertical side. And again, local postal customer with the required indicia. That's just a quick example. Okay, number 2, seller strategy. Seller strategy. Hold open houses monthly in your farm area. And again, because we're going for efficiency, we don't want to farm an area here and then go hold an open house over there just because that's where we have a listing. Okay? That's because we have a seller over there. We want to focus our effort. If we're going to become the preferred agent in our preferred market area, we need to be there all the time and we need to be big. So from an efficiency standpoint, focus your efforts on your farm area. So if you have listings there, yes, that's fantastic. If you don't, find another RE/MAX agent who has a listing there and hold it open. And I know in my office, the listing agents are thrilled for other agents to hold their homes open because the listing agents typically don't have time. And they're so far into the business, they don't consider open houses to be efficient any longer, okay? But that's because they think open houses are all about capturing buyers. And we know that it's very rare that a buyer walks into an open house and buys that house, okay? So that's why I'm saying that this is a seller strategy. What you're trying to do is become top of mind, create top of mind awareness for sellers in that neighborhood that, oh, if we have to move and sell our home, we're going to call Bobby, okay? Because he is everywhere in this area. So when you schedule an open house, flood the area with directional signs. And I know in some neighborhoods you can't do that, okay? In the Woodlands you can't do that, but in other neighborhoods where I service you can. When I say flood, I mean put out 20, 30 directional signs. Put them out for a mile in every direction. Anybody who comes within the radius, a mile or so of that home, they're going to start seeing those signs with arrows with your name, directing them to that neighborhood, and then in the neighborhood right back to the house. Okay? If that's all you did, have you created value for your marketing campaign?
Yeah, I know who Debbie Farmer is.
Yeah, that's right,
Are you
Debbie.
talking about just for open houses? Or
Yes, for open
not-
houses.
Not have them out, but keep them out.
Well, if you can put out signs and keep them out, that's awesome. Yeah, just forget to pick them up. Yeah, but no, for the open house, you know, put them out that morning. Flood the area because again, you want to create the perception that you're the preferred agent. Perception becomes reality. You know, fake it till you make it. Be there. Be big, and people will accept that. That, oh, you are the preferred agent because we see you everywhere. Okay. Use cold air balloons. How many of you have access to a cold air balloon right now? Okay.
I don't know who that is.
Okay. You know what the big hot air balloon is, right?
Sure.
Sure, it's blown up with fire and keeps the air hot. A cold air balloon is typically about 8 feet tall, and it's just blown up with a little fan and sealed. And it stands there. If you do it outside, you've got to rope it down a little bit. You can find them on Main Street. Just do an approved supplier search.
They're cheap.
They're very cheap. In fact, if you go to Las Vegas, at the International Convention every year, there's several cold air balloon vendors, and I mean they're selling them sometimes $200.
Or less.
Okay, or less.
I think I paid $99.
99? That's not even fair. That doesn't even cover shipping. My
10
goodness.
feet, 10 or 12 feet? Or
Mine is probably 6 or 8.
Yeah, they vary between 6 and 8 feet. Some of them are more suitable for indoor use. Some of them are heavier. Probably the $100 is a little thin vinyl,
It's pretty
right?
cheap.
Some of them are more like parachute material, and you can actually rope them down outside. They create an amazing presence.
Would you
And-
put them in the front yard or would you put them at the corner of the street?
Yes,
Front yard.
yes. You're taking the words out of my mouth. You want to put them in a visible space, if you can, at the front of the neighborhood to attract attention,
Yeah.
and then put one in the front yard of the property. They're so cheap, get several. Most offices have one. My office has got 3 or 4 in the storage room, okay? So agents can check them out and take them anytime they want. But again, it just creates an incredible market saturation perception. Everybody knows you're there, you're large, you're in charge, you got the 8-foot balloon in the front of the neighborhood, in front of the house, okay? Next step, door knock the closest 50 neighbors within 3 days of the open house. So if you're doing a Saturday open house, sometime from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, go out, door knock the neighbors, or if you're uncomfortable door knocking, at least put a flyer or door hanger on their front door. Okay? What is it going to be? Well, first of all, it's going to be a property information flyer. At a minimum, you want to do that. Because you know the neighbors are taking them out of the front yard anyway, right? Out of the flyer boxes. And if you actually see one of them, or if you're brave enough to door knock, you can make a joke out of it. Hey, I don't want you to have to sneak out in the middle of the night, take a flyer to see what your neighbor is selling their house for. Okay, so here you go. Glad for you to have it. But the other thing that I would encourage you to consider doing with these flyers is have a neighborhood preview. If you're going to hold the open house open from 2 to 4, then have a neighbors only preview at 1:30. Okay? The neighbors want to see inside that house, don't they? They've wondered for years how the Andersons are living. Okay? Now they can get in there and see it for themselves. And oh, by the way, that starts at 1:30. At 2 o'clock, you've got a whole bunch of cars or at least foot traffic coming in and out of the house. So when that open house starts, there's already a buzz in the neighborhood that there is something happening in that house. Okay? I think these preliminary activities are so critical. Flooding the area with directional signs, putting up the cold air balloons, pre-knocking or distributing flyers to the neighbors. I coach my agents all the time. It's almost as if you don't have to hold the open house. Okay? Now you do want to hold the open house, okay, as an issue of integrity. Okay, you're going to deliver on it. But the point is, you're getting the value in all the pre-open house marketing activities. Okay? That's going to generate your seller leads. And oh, by the way, if somebody comes through and wants to buy the house, or they're a legitimate buyer and you can find them another home, then you've got some icing on the cake. Okay, but it's primarily a seller strategy. Okay, now let's get into buyer strategies. And again, this is highly unusual. When people talk about geographic farming, it's almost always about getting sellers, right? About getting listings. And I want to say that as RE/MAX agents, we have a couple absolutely mind-blowing tools available to us to help us capture buyers for our preferred market area. And how powerful is that when we go in on a listing presentation in our preferred market area and to say, I personally bring in 20% of the buyers to this neighborhood, there's an excellent chance that I'm the one who's not only going to list your home, I'm going to sell it. Okay? So it greatly enhances our value proposition. So I'm going to share with you 2 very specific strategies, and this is where it could get a little bit overwhelming, okay? Because we're going to get down in the technical weeds a little bit. But again,